Hello, welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is our program on point, but today is a very special edition of On Point here at Focus on Liberia. And as always, we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In this edition of On Point here at Focus on Liberia, two outstanding debaters are here to debate the hot political issues trending in the monarchy. The first person I want to show you is Mr. Jerome Gayman. He is an unabashed citizen. He supports the ruling coalition for democratic change. He is a member of the CDC, and he is here to debate the issue with Mr. George Tulay. Mr. Tulay is a political commentator. He has been in the business of media. He knows this stuff, and he's here to engage Mr. Jerome Gayman. Folks, this debate is a debate that you want to watch. So if you have not shared here, please do so. And before the gentlemen can come in to introduce themselves, let me let you know what they will be, the issues that they will be debating. Issue number one. Number one will be more Ali's invitation, arrest, and incarceration by the Liberian National Police, despite the Justice Minister of Liberia, Musa Dean, trying to tell the police not to do so. Issue number two, Honorable Yekeh Kolubah has been suspended. Is his suspension political? These two gentlemen will go ahead. And also, we are talking about the CDC government being termed as a kleptocracy by U.S. Representative Christ. Wow. The government of Liberia is a kleptocracy, and he also described our president as a kleptocrat. If you don't know, search for your dictionary. I'm not going to tell you that, but it may have been said that that is our government officials a bunch of rogues. All they do is to steal the money. That's why it is. And last but not the least, President, we ask County Tour, is there anything the Liberian people will benefit from this County Tour that I've been talking about? Well, let me bring the gentleman in here first. The host of On Point here at Focus on Liberia, Mr. Jerome Gayman. He got himself in trouble. Are you ready for business?
Well, obviously, we're always ready. I'm always here ready to go. We have information, we have the facts, and we are here to debunk and talk about those guys who are trending in fake news, fabricated news, to enhance their own ability for maybe future power. But the power of Dr. George Manawia is so powerful and so strong, the data will speak for itself.
Wow, there you, yeah, it right there. He has really started singing that Kumbaya song we hear all the time. Well, the gentleman that is here to hold him accountable on his praise and worship, political praise and worship, is George Tulay. George, welcome. Your opening statement.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invite and the opportunity to speak. Jerome, is nice, at least, being in the same space with you to discuss these issues. The thing about it is that the moral arc of the universe bends towards the truth. And I don't care what, the truth will always prevail. And in the situation we're going to be discussing what I consider truths that has to do with exposing the realities in Liberia. And I don't see how you can, win an argument defending George Weah and his government. It's just an indefensible position, bro. And that's why I'm laughing, because it's like I remember all the discussions and the interaction I used to have with the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf people during those days. I just used to laugh. One day I remember they sent Lie, the guy who used to be at the Ministry of Labor, to come and on my show when I was at Hot FM. And I was just laughing until I had to tell him, hey, you guys are paying for this. This is a paid, the party paid show. So I would just let you go ahead and say all the things you came to say, because I was just debunking everything, because it was so, kind of like ridiculous trying to, defend that which is unnecessarily lies, So in this situation, we are here to interact, and thank you for the opportunity. That's all I can say.
All right, folks, the stage is set. I'm Anthony here moderating in this debate. We have four issues that the gentleman will be debating on. We will roll in the first one, which is the arrest. First, the invitation, the arrest, and incarceration of Mo Ali. Gentlemen, let's start with Jerome Gayman. Mr. Gayman, he has been here, so let him be the one to go first. Mo Ali was invited, arrested, and incarcerated, even though the Justice Minister of Liberia said, no, that is not a good thing to do. But the government, through the Liberian National Police, did that anyway. The thing people are wondering is that does this thing border on the issue of free speech? This man was just exercising his free speech by posting this Facebook post, and he got in trouble. People are saying, well, there are others in the CDC that have served even worse. The case of Mamba Malu comes to mind, saying the president goes out of the country, bring the money, and takes the money to his house. He was never invited by the police. So what do you make of this, Mr. Gayman?
Well, thank you very much for the concern, but you are comparing apples to oranges here. We are talking about national state security here. Someone posting and threatening the state has the propensity to bring exactly what we have tried to preserve all these years, which is the peace. So it is incumbent upon the security of the state, the actors of the state, to invite those folks for clarity. And when you are invited by the state, by the security apparatus of the state, it is your duty to come and clarify what you say you posted and why you made it. Is that simple. There is no need to vacillate. There's no need to hide. When you say you will come, you come. When you don't come, then you become a suspect. This is where we are at this point. If you can relate, if you can understand, Mr. Mo Ali agreed to the invitation and he said he will come. And later on, we heard that he sent his lawyer and he said there is nothing in our constitution that demands him to show up in person. Yet, despite his lawyer has said he was on his way. So these are all suspicious activities, and the government has all right to detain him for clarity. So there is nothing wrong. This has nothing to do with free speech.
Thank you so very much. That bring in Mr. George Tulay. You heard your colleague right there. What do you have to say?
The truth about it is that freedom of speech is enshrined in our constitution. All right, it's a constitutional right to speak. We know that Decree 88A and before Decree 88A, the Toba government issued edicts trying to curb free speech. And we know from history why governments will curb or attempt to curb free speech or freedom of speech. And that is because they don't want to be exposed. I could have asked you, I said, can you display the particular post that Mo did, that caused him to be invited and charged? The truth here is this. What Mo said is the truth about Liberia as it is right now. Mo criticized the judiciary. That is the main reason why he's in trouble today, because it's like he started to speak the issues that nobody wants to hear. You understand something? You're talking about freedom of speech, Jerome. Do you know that right now in Liberia, there are no voices on the radio in Liberia that are critical of the government, with the exception of T-Max? With the exception of T-Max, the lone exception of T-Max, no one else dare speak truth to power in Liberia on a consistent basis. You know that you might go there every now and then and say something, but to sustain, all right, a critical show to look at the issues that are pertaining in Liberia today, there are no one. There's nobody on radio.
Okay, Mr. Tulay, let me call you to a point here. When did President we are the CDC come to power?
3 years now.
Yeah, when did they come to power? Don't just tell me 3 years.
2018, the beginning of 2018.
Thank you. Let me read this to you.
Mm-hmm.
This was posted November 3rd, 2016. Our 2 years prior to Joe, we are coming to power.
Yeah.
And it reads, you were expelled from Cottington University for criminal behavior and rudeness. You will never be a professional. I wish you success in your quest for asylum in the United States, Mr. Criminal Vanderlak Patricks. Guess who wrote this?
It was Mo Ali. He was just expressing his right.
Thank you. When Vanderplat was talking about issues about the unity government and the misappropriation and criminality in the government, it was Mo Ali who said that Mr. Vanderplat had no reason. So he's a coward. You cannot compare these two. The fact here, no, give me chance. The fact here is you are trying to make a criminal matter of a free speech matter. They have nothing to do with free speech. All he had to do was show up and tell us, clarify what he meant by what he posted. When he said, if you do not free this guy at the end of the week, you will see what will happen. We want to clarify the security. The number one responsibility of the state is to secure the state for its citizens.
Oh, you see now, you know, there's wisdom in hindsight. They always say it. The seditions that you are talking, you're standing in defense of today, were the ones that had the worst things to say. They even carried a casket on their shoulders, all right, about Madam Salif. They were the ones who threatened more than anyone else the well-being of the state of Liberia when Madam Salif was president. No, more than anyone else. I know it because I was at Kings FM for 3 years. Hold on, let me land. Hold on.
What was the threat? Hearing cast is no threat.
No, Mr. Gayman, let him land. Let him land with his thought, then he can come in.
The threats. They threatened to end the Madam Salif-led government. They threatened to remove them from power. I know it. When the Liberian government had the high-level panel meeting on the Millennium Development Goals at the Royal Hotel, the government had to block the entire Syncore for no one to have access to Syncore because of the threat of seditions. I know it. I was in those meetings. I was part of the formulation of the pressure on the government during those times. Okay, Madam Salif did not go about massively arresting every sedition she could lay her hands on. Okay, it was accepted it was accepted as part of the democratic discourse. Okay, challenging the powers that be and speaking to the ills of government is part and parcel of the democratic discourse. Okay,
Mr. Tulay, you are not giving me anything concrete. You are speaking from the same talking point as the CPP when they just make up stories. But I can tell you, when we talk about free speech, I can tell you the amount of folks that were murdered under the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government when the CDC were demonstrating on their own compound. So you cannot compare.
How many persons were murdered? How many persons were murdered?
It doesn't matter.
No, it matters. One.
No, Mr. Gayman, it matters.
We said 34. You said one.
One.
You said one. So
because the reason why I said one, I had somebody there from the radio station. What's his name? Darlington Pelena was at the CDC compound.
Mr. Tulay, did the alien administration murder sedition?
It was an incident. It wasn't a murder. It wasn't a direct murder. They didn't go to murder anybody. The truth here is, if you know when it happened, right? And you know when this happened.
One at a time, gentlemen. One at a time.
Mr. Tulay, I beg to differ with you that it was an incident that cost his life. He was murdered. The children was murdered.
No, not children. Not children. One person. I dare you to bring any report that said more than one person was dead.
Did somebody get murdered? Did somebody get murdered?
Someone lost their life.
Oh, no. Mr. Tulay, answer the question.
It was a riot. Listen,
Mr. Tulay, was somebody murdered?
I granted to you he was murdered.
Thank you.
All right, but one person, you said people, and I said one person. And the reason why I grant you that concession is not because you are right, but because whenever there's a clash of security forces and people protesting who became violent, you can expect such things to happen. The UN was on the ground. Hold on. You said murder. And that's why I'm saying to you, I granted you the concession, not because you are right. Not because you are right. But listen now, the same thing they did. Those who were protesting bad governance, those who were protesting corruption, those who were speaking against the ills of government are the ones today in government, and they are very, 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 very insensitive to the plight of the people, and very, very intolerant to any divergent view, a single divergent view. All Mo did was say,
Mr. Tulay, it is your perception.
no, it's not my perception, it's the truth.
There is no record in the international community that says that we are intolerant of divergence of view. There is no indictment that
when you
we
say
have.
we, who the we you're talking about, Mr. Gayman?
He placing himself in the government
as
already.
somebody who is a member of the CDC.
So are you
I'm a member
saying
of the
to
CDC.
us, hold on, Mr. Gayman, are you saying to us we should expect your explanation that the CDC government is not intolerant to opposing or dissenting views? Is
Not
that
at
what you
all.
want us to accept and believe?
No, not that you are supposed to accept. That's the fact.
Okay.
If
Let me bring
it's the
in
fact,
Tulay.
then
Tulay, is that
why
a
did it go
fact?
through? No, if it was the fact, why did it go through this entire rigmarole with Mohammed? Just all they did was made him popular. Look, it's like a show, all right? It's like a show of naivety, a seminar in governmental naivety. It's like no adults are in the room to advise these people. Look, leave this thing, let it slide. All they had to do was just to ignore it. But guess what? Because hold on, I will let you talk.
Mr.
Because they
Gayman,
have
hold on.
nothing
And
to
Mr.
do.
Tulay, I want you to address the question on the screen. I think you are in line there already. Was Mo Ali arrest and incarceration warranted?
No, it wasn't warranted. It was a serious display of childishness, governmental childishness. Okay? Mo Ali made posts on Facebook. People are making posts on Facebook every time criticizing the government. It doesn't mean that you should get up and cause a lot of stress and a lot of brahaha over nothing. Because guess what?
Mr. Tulay, let me bring you to a point.
Mr. Gayman, can you address the question? Was Mo Ali arrest and incarceration warranted?
It's obviously yes. And I'm going to give you an example of several people from the state of Florida in my hometown, Fort Pierce, that were visited by the FBI for threatening and saying things derogatory against President Trump. The FBI, I just wanted to make sure that these comments that you are making have the propensity. They want to know whether he has the capability to carry them out. And they left. When they find out he was just a blabbermouth, it is the responsibility of the state to make sure that all of these loopholes are plugged, that nothing goes without noticing. So yes, if the state...
Are you suggesting Mo Ali, has some form of capability or potential to cause any harm?
How do we know? The FBI came to Florida to find out whether this gentleman has the propensity and the ability to do so. They found out that he didn't. How do we know that Mo Ali has or doesn't? We have to question him. He was invited. All he had to do was show up and say, listen, I was bluffing. And that was it.
So in your Florida scenario, that person did not have that capacity to cause any harm. So they left him. But in Mo Ali case, he was arrested, he was incarcerated. Does it mean that the police had determined that he had the capacity to cause any harm?
When the FBI came, they asked to see the gentleman to talk to him. He came right away and did an interview. He never told the folks, I want to see my lawyer, or I'm going to come, and then he doesn't show up. If he didn't, he would have been arrested. So it's that simple. They have nothing to do with freedom of speech.
You're not answering my question. You're not answering my question.
I just answered the question. The
No,
question
you did not. Because he was arrested, does it mean that he had the capacity to do so?
He was not arrested because he had the capacity. He was arrested because he failed to follow the authority.
What authority, Jerome? Let me come in there. What authority are you talking about?
Listen,
if we could put the post more posts from the 1st of March. Hold on.
Yeah, Mr. Gayman, hold on.
When you talk ahead, I try to be patient and listen. If you put his post, in a 5-6 day period, there is nothing that threatens the statehood of Liberia. There's nothing there that threatens the presidency of George Weah. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay?
Yeah.
Calling it is the right of citizens, the right of just men to stand up in the face of tyranny. It is the right of just men to question the actions of government. It is our inherent right.
Excuse
Okay.
me.
And hold on, Mr. Gayman. Mr.
No,
Gayman,
no,
hold
no,
on.
no.
Hold your peace. Or Josh,
Uh-huh.
what is the tyranny that you see that you're talking about here?
Oh, the tyranny. I told from the beginning when George Weah contested and after the first round, I said to people what we were to expect from George Weah. I said a couple of things. I said one, because of his lack of sophistication, his lack of education, his low level of intelligence, he will become very, very paranoid. And as a result, and because of his low intelligence, his government was going to be hijacked by some of the stooges and the proxies around him. It has come to pass. I said that when it is hijacked, these guys will do everything they can do to stay in power. We have seen it. The tyranny we have seen is closing down Herman Costa station, locking up his equipment, driving him out of the country. We have seen it. I talked also about about the draconian measures they will use to silence the voices of dissent in the country. We have seen it. Nobody dare in Liberia today dare to speak. We also saw the death of Ines, the death of Yuswa, people who had positions of accountability and who understood the inner workings of the finances of government. They just up and die. Now
Okay.
one person,
Now,
hold on,
now,
hold on,
now,
hold on, hold on. I will
no,
let you
no, no,
talk.
no.
I
I
will let
will
you
not
talk.
allow you to go
No,
forward
no, 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 no.
without. Now, listen. Let us look at
I'm
this.
making
Somebody
the
have
point.
to
He
give
asked
in,
a
gentlemen.
question.
Somebody have
No,
to give in here.
Mr. Tulay, I would like for you to be factual and don't come here to talk about talking points. I will not
But
allow
Mr.
you to
Gayman,
speak
if I
talking
were you,
points.
I would allow him to land so that
Let
you
me
No,
can
but
have
land, then you
how
sufficient
come
long
in.
will
information
it
to
take him
respond
to
to. Can
do
you?
a laundry list
As
of
soon as
lies?
I
Go
end my
ahead.
statement,
Go ahead.
you can have all the time. I
Go
don't
ahead.
mind.
Go
So
ahead.
listen, I said these things, right? And we have seen them. We have seen the intolerance to the voices of dissent, closing down the only opposition radio station, only true opposition radio, because Truth FM is not really an opposition radio station. Musa Belete will play along with whoever is in power so that he can keep his bread being buttered. He's the chairman of my political party, but I really don't have a lot of use for him as an individual because I believe he doesn't have the kind of integrity that Liberians are looking for in their leaders
Josh,
today.
please list the
Yeah,
tyranny so Gayman can come
yeah.
in.
So I said that they closed down the only independent radio station that could speak truth to power. They shut it down. They changed Henry Costa from power. We have seen the death of people who have positions of integrity, who are responsible for accountability in financial institutions. We saw the mass deaths of 5 persons under the
Okay,
George Weah government.
thank you. Mr.
Uh,
Gayman, he
yes.
saw
Uh-huh.
tyranny or he
Yes,
sees tyranny
that's correct.
and he listed them. Do
Yes.
you agree or disagree?
I do not want to make it a tutorial for my younger brother here who is spewing all of these talking points from, but let's start with Henry Costa radio station. And I would like you to answer me, please. Mr. Tulay, was Mr. Why was Coastal radio station closed?
Coastal radio station closed because the government was
No, why
intolerant of his
was it
views.
closed?
Because the government was intolerant of his views.
Oh, there you go. You see, this is why when I'm talking and I'm debating folks, I like to debate on a factual notice. Hold on 1 minute. I am in Florida here. Just last week in Port St. Lucie, when I was sitting here,
Stop this.
they came
Stop
in.
this. Stick to Liberia.
Listen,
Leave the
listen,
US.
listen. The FCC came in and shut down something that people they call pirate radio. These are folks who do not have an FCC license. They are operating illegally on different frequencies that were not assigned to them. They not only were their equipment confiscated, but they were arrested. Everything was impounded. Henry Costa does not have a legal license in Liberia to operate a frequency. That
He
is,
made an application.
excuse me, sir. We are
Okay, I'm
talking
still waiting.
facts
Go
here.
ahead.
We are talking facts.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do not have a license to operate a frequency in any democracy, that is a crime. It is a federal crime in this country against the FCC. So don't bring that Costa
What's about
stuff.
the death of the auditors?
Listen to me. In Chicago alone, day today, last night in Chicago, there were 73 people murdered in Chicago. In my own city of Florida here, we had 17 deaths. Is Biden responsible for those folks? So where are you guys coming from with all of these things that make no sense as though you live in a, well,
all right,
actually you
gentlemen,
do live in an
let
alternate
me progress. Let
universe.
me bring in my next question here.
Alternate
Gentlemen, hold
universe.
on. Hold on, gentlemen. Let me bring in my next question here. Was it a smart move by CPP leaders to appear at the LMP headquarters when Mo Ali was invited? And Minister, with you, George.
Yes, it was a very, very good move, but it showed unity. One, it showed resolve to stand against what I call the disguised tyranny of the CDC-led government. It also showed support because Mo Ali is a leader. He's a Secretary General of the Unity Party. Who do you expect to show up with Mo Ali? Especially when you know that the charges are frivolous. Especially when you know that it is nothing but George Weah, the Kakaleka dancing president, having a fit over simple post on Facebook, calling into order certain things that are discrepancies on the part of the judiciary and on the part of the executive. So what you expect that nobody expected more.
But George, you still have your time. But let me interject here. You still have your time. The CDC did the same thing when the likes of model, were invited by the Liberian National Police, right? And George, we are with leaders of the CDC, especially those in the national legislature. They just walked down, and some people saw it as by example. The opposition is projecting itself as the alternative that should do things differently, and they just follow the playbook of CDC. How is that a smart move?
The reason why I say it's a smart move is this. In Liberia, we know how it works. I operated in those spaces before as opposition, so I know how it works.
Okay.
When you are targeted for such action by the presidency, you go into jail. I don't care what you do. And we saw it with Mo Ali. Whether you prepare bond or whatever you do, they will delay the case until 4 o'clock, and the judge will say, I can't hear the case anymore. You'll take the man in for confinement. Tomorrow we'll continue with the case. That's how it works in Liberia. It is not justice. Let me give you wait, Jerome, wait small. Let me tell you something. Since the interim government after the last what we call World War I, World War II, World War III, the issues that happened in 2003, 2004, since the inception of Madam Salif government to today, every year the State Department report on human rights abuses, the first group that they target for corruption and exposing corruption amongst them is the judiciary in Liberia, starting with the police, and the courts.
All right.
Okay. So there is no justice. So when you know that your person is going to face kangaroo justice, you will show up. You will. So whether CDC get it or
George,
not,
let me come to Gayman. It sounds to me like you're taking matters into your own hand because this is the alternative, right? I mean, Cooling, what's his name? Omen Bwaka take the phone and just call the police director. Hey, what am I hearing? Can you assure me? Can then just have a press conference at the party headquarters? I mean, this is just me thinking loudly. Could they just have a press conference? Say, hey, Bo Ali is being invited. We hope the police going to do the right thing. We hope let me just leave it there. But let me bring in Mr. Gayman. Mr. Gayman, all the leaders were at the headquarters of the Liberian National Police because Mo Ali was being invited. Was that a smart move? Somebody might think that was a smart move because all else, that guys were being incarcerated, and at the time they didn't follow him when he was invited for the second time. This time he was incarcerated, justifying their decision to have followed in the first time. What do you say to that?
Yeah, but listen to this. When these folks were condemning, according to him, CDC, for
Mhm.
showing up in mass, and they condemned that as they saw it as an act of intimidation by the CDC.
Mhm.
And it was wrong then, according to them. Today, my brother Tulay is sitting here telling us that they had a right to do so, and what they were doing was a show of force. A show of force. Listen to that word, a show of force.
And unity, he
Okay.
said.
Yes, in fact, it was Darrell Dillon at one point that said, if they put him in jail, we all gotta go to jail.
Yes, he said
Those
that.
were threats. So now that they put Mo Ali in jail, what happened to Boyka being in jail? What happened to Uri being in jail? What happened to everybody being in jail? What happened to them? But the idea here is it was a farce, of a complete farce. These folks,
All
these
right.
folks have actually no remedy for any issues in Liberia. They came in with this thing as though if you don't do X, then Y, we're happy, and they burn.
All right,
And this,
gentlemen, you
no,
know we
listen to
have a
me.
lot of
Let me
issues.
land.
We
Let me
just
land.
taking almost 30 minutes on the
Yes,
first issue, Mr. Gayman. Please
yes. Let me
conclude on
land
this
here.
issue so we'll go to the
They
next
burned
issue.
the NEC, and they went and firebomb the judiciary. These are the same folks. So against that backdrop, any threat made should be taken seriously. And I think the Justice Department, the police did an excellent job in bringing and locking him up.
All
If you
right,
know,
Josh, your concluding statement so we can go to the next issue.
before we progress, if you know Mo Ali, if you know Mo Ali's disposition, you know that he will never be part of any. He and myself will have our differences. Okay, I say it openly, and he knows. But he would never be part of any discussion to do any harm to even a dog. Before you're
It's
talking
right
about human
here.
being. No, no, no,
It's
no,
right
no.
here.
Listen.
We are concluding,
Mr.
Mr. Gayman.
Gayman,
Let him
Mr.
give a
Gayman,
concluding
the
statement
difference
so we
between
can
you
move
and
to the
I,
next issue, gentlemen.
Mr. Gayman, the difference between you and I, you don't know these actors. You
I
don't.
do. I
No,
don't
you
have to
don't.
know them personally.
Listen. You don't know. You don't even know the
Mr. Gayman,
issues.
hold on. Let him conclude so we can go to the next issue.
Listen, sir. With all due respect, you don't even know the issues. Let me tell you something. This is old age thing. If there was real justice, all right, if lawyers, why do you think the justice minister said that Mo Ali was supposed to be released by the police and not
But listen,
forwarded and not
now listen
incarcerated?
to
Hold
this.
on, hold
No,
on.
no,
Why
no,
you
no,
All
no,
right,
so?
gentlemen,
no.
we have to
Let me
leave it there.
answer
We got
that
to bring
because
in the next
first of
issue.
all, the
Gentlemen,
justice minister never communicated that. It
hold
never
on.
happened.
They never what?
Gentlemen,
All right,
space.
Anthony.
This is Focus on Liberia. I'm answering CA, moderating. This is on point. The debate is hot. The show you are watching is on point, and we have Mr. Jerome Gayman debating Mr. George Tulay, and we are discussing a lot of issues. We're going to take a short break, just few seconds. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll go to the next issue, which is the suspension of Yekeh Kolubah. Gentlemen, you know we can take all the time. We will not stay exhaust the issue. So that break, and we'll be right back, folks. All right, folks, we are back with you. Where is Mr. Jerome Gayman? He's dehydrated. It seems to be he is dehydrated and he is running to get water. This debate is hard for him. We didn't get him any kind of soft player. He got a tough challenger and he's out of water. Did you get some water, sir?
Listen, I am a veteran. I don't drink, not even water.
All right, let me progress. Let me progress. Let's come to the next issue here, gentlemen. Representative Yekeh Kolubah. Let me provide a little context for our people here. What's his name? Thomas Fowler has been complaining about Yekeh's behavior. So he wrote plenary that there should be action taken against him. He listed a lot of things, but chief among his complaints, is that Yekeh Kolubah has been in the business of insulting President Weah. And so the House went and took action, and he's been suspended for about 4 months without pay. 4 months without pay. And also, what's his name? Akaras Gray went and filed a motion for reconsideration and now they have table A. When they return from their recess, their Easter recess, they will be able to bring it back on the floor. If that decision stands, Yekeh Kolubah will be suspended for 4 months without pay. People are saying this man is just expressing his view. How come insulting a president, something I disagree with 100%, I would never do, neither encourage anybody to do, is something for which the House of Representatives should be able to suspend their own member. So, gentlemen, and Gayman, you started first, so we're starting with Tulay this time. This suspension, what do you make of it? What do you see in it?
The leaders that they have, they elect. Okay, or people deserve the leaders they elect. One of the travesties and the tragedies of Liberia is that people have elected and have been like, we keep electing people who have shown no desire to lead, no desire to provide leadership for the people, no desire to represent the masses. Typical example, someone like Edwin Snow. What's the track record of Edwin Snow in terms of leading before a whole county decided to elect him to make him senator? It's like the people don't even care about, and I always say, because our people are ill informed, their level of understanding is very 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 shallow, and all these things. But coming to the issue, the suspension of Yekeh Kolubah, I do agree with you that Yekeh sometimes he goes overboard, all right, but Yekeh has been the only one in the House of Representatives to stand up and call out the ills in the CDC-led government. Okay, despite his excesses, I believe he's protected as a member of the House of Representatives. So I also believe that the entire charade of holding a vote to suspend him. And look at this: the majority of these guys that are in the House of Representatives were not seditionists when George Weah took over, but gradually they've all joined the CDC bandwagon, and today the needs and the desires of the Liberian people is not in the foremost on their minds. They don't even care about it anymore. All
And,
they
and
care
Josh,
about.
what do you call Yekeh's going overboard? What is that?
Oh, sometimes his utterances. Okay, sometimes his utterances. You see, I'm not saying he's not right, but sometimes you have to have some level of self-control, especially and do your thing in terms of the occasion.
And you think his behavior is warranted by anything?
His behavior, but guess what? They say bad soul desire need bad medicine. So Yekeh is the only medicine, the corruption, because Gayman, just give me 1 minute. I know you support CDC. The current speaker of the House of Representatives was someone that came to my show at least twice a week over the time I was on Kings FM.
Right.
He said he followed me from Hard FM to Kings FM. Buffer Chambers will come and will criticize Madam Salif and call them names and say all sorts of things because he had been excluded from the cycle of influence.
Was he ever invited during that time by the police?
No, he was never invited. He was never kicked out. I remember
he was never arrested either.
No, he was never arrested. And I remember what's his name, Mir Brawl, going on Hot FM to call his real name Jalalahine and talk about his ordeal in America and all the different things. That was the extent to which they could go to counter him. All right. What they did was they went on the media too to counter his narrative. Okay, but today they are expelling a man because Buffer Chambers, who spent all those times with me on the radio calling Madam Salif all kinds of unprintable names, is the one today who is very, very, very intolerant of the voice of Yekeh. Why?
Thank you.
Because Yekeh speaks what they do not want to hear.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's come to you, Mr. Gayman. Mr. Gayman, he's right. I followed the issues during that time. Let me share with you, at some point, there are some members of CDC that will go as far as grabbing a woman on her clothes, putting Coup-A, the rare one for that matter, and parading with it in the street, and they consider that as opposition. Yekeh Kolubah, I disagree with his language in every shape and form, has to be suspended. Do you agree with his suspension, Mr. Gayman? That's my question I'm asking.
Mr. Tulay? Uh, if this was not an intellectual discourse, I would say you are a comedian in training.
Okay.
But I won't say that because you are actually bright, very bright young man.
But you already said it.
No, I didn't say
No,
that. What
don't
I'm
worry.
saying,
I take no exception.
no,
You see,
what I'm saying, it is so
it's
common.
par for
But
the course.
let me get to this. Do we agree that the Liberian government, our rule of law and everything is basically predicated on the rule of law and copy of the United States, or we mimic to some degree?
Yes.
Okay. So now let's go to the House rules. The House rules. Because I told you I want to deal in facts. Now let's go to the section that said decorum and civility. The responsibility of this a representative, a member of the House. And it says this: communications critical of policy may not be personalized or politicized and may not be used to disparage members and other individuals or political parties within the House or within government. For purposes of this rule, disparaging shall be defined as and should include but not be limited to personal insults, ad hominem attacks, or attacks on a person's character. No speculation on the motivation of somebody's intent. This is what the House says. If you are a member of the House of Representatives, these are the decorum. You are expected to not defame the House, the office of the House, the government. It is written. And if you're going to tell me that because somebody doesn't agree with the administration, even in their own lower house, that he disparages on a personal level, not on policy, that person needs to be expelled. He was lucky that he was suspended, and this may just be a warning. But we are talking about civility here. We are talking about democracy. We are talking about civilized
So Mr.
country.
Gayman, let me come in there. I'm glad you brought that up. If you were the president and you are learning that a member of the House of Representatives is being suspended because that member has met some personal attacks, through insult against you, will you feel okay? Is we're dancing to this music that the House is playing?
Yeah.
My friend, I don't want to make this a tutorial here in governance and government, but these are three separate
Are you
branches of
tutoring
government.
yourself?
Yeah,
Are you tutoring?
there are three separate branches of government, and they are all equal here. So nobody can interfere with the other. The executive
Oh,
cannot
come
tell
on, man,
the
Jerome. You
executive
know better
cannot
than
tell
that,
the
man.
legislative branch
You know
how
better
to
than
carry
that.
on. They have their own rules.
No, you know better
It's
than that. Those
Buffer
rules.
Chimba. It's
Okay,
your
I'll go
friend
back.
Buffer
I'll go back.
Chimba who hand you shook when you
Uh-huh.
visited Liberia recently. Is it not an
Anthony,
extension of the executive branch of
Not
government?
at all.
Don't you
Not at
think?
Anthony,
all.
Let's talk about
Not at
Anthony,
Thomas
all.
Fowler. Hold on, Josh.
Anthony.
Let's talk about Thomas Fowler.
Uh-huh.
Thomas Fowler made it clear you always insulting the president. He
Uh-huh.
brought it, he made
Yes.
it about the
Yes.
president. And
That's
so he
correct.
said, this
Uh-huh.
guy, I will make sure he becomes a former representative if he's lucky. He will be suspended. And here we have it. He was acting to make sure that the president is certified. Don't you see it that way?
No, because there are rules in the house. He broke the rules of the house.
Jerome
He
Gayman.
broke the rules of the house. The
All right,
Mr.
man was
Gayman.
let me bring in George here. George, come in.
Mr. Gayman. Mr.
George, before you
Gayman.
make your
Mr.
point,
Tulay.
is they meant is he think he's tutoring us or he's tutoring himself?
He can't even tutor himself right now because
All right, go
lost.
ahead.
Let me say this, Mr. Gayman. Mr. Gayman,
Yes,
those rules
yes.
came from the TWP government. Those rules.
Ah,
Hey, but listen, let me
there
say
you
this
go.
to you. Let me say this to you.
Uh-huh.
In the face of tyranny, in the
There you go.
face of despotism, it
Uh-huh.
is the duty of just men to rebel.
Mm-hmm.
What Yekeh Kolubah is doing is to rebel against unjust rules. Let me tell you something.
Uh-huh.
If Buffer Chambers was playing the role as the Speaker of the House, all right, and as the leader of the national legislature, if he was playing his oversight role, If he was not acting like the office boy or and the errand boy of George Weah, Yekeh would not be saying the things that he's saying today.
Well,
hold on.
no. Go ahead.
Before you will come in, we see when you're talking, I give you a chance. You gotta get used to this. Now you're talking about tutoring people. Let me.
You're talking about tutorial, and you can't even observe for a little bit of time.
Mr. Tulay, you have to give me a chance because I am reading the House rules.
Listen, I know those rules.
Hold on, Mr. Gayman, let him land.
Mr. Gayman,
Mr. Gayman, let him land. You will come in with your tutorial for yourself.
Rules regarding sedition in Liberia, the rules regarding decorum in the House. I agree there are rules, but let me say this to you today.
Thank you.
If those rules, right, if those rules are meant to suppress free speech, they will be rebelled against. Because let me say, hold on. Those rules will stay in place if the national legislature as a body is carrying out its fiduciary duty. All right? If they are functioning based on their constitutional or term of reference, then they will be respected. But if they subvert themselves and subjugate themselves under the executive and neglect to play the role they're supposed to play as the people who will call into question the actions of the executive, let me say this to you, it is right for someone like Yekeh to stand up and speak and call Buffer Chimba names. Because let me tell you something, Buffer Chimba is a disappointment.
Let me ask you a direct question. George, let me ask you a direct question. I get all that you're saying. What makes it right in any shape or form for Yekeh to insult either Buffer Chimba or the president because of any disappointment he may have had that borders on leadership issue, that borders on governance issue, even to the level of the president? Is it right in any shape or form for him to insult these individuals because of disagreement? Is that what you're telling me, George?
Like I said to you, right? I do not condone the excesses of Yekeh.
So it is wrong for him to be insulting. Is that what you say?
Yeah, to use insults because, like my mom would always tell me growing up, there are enough words in the English language to address yourself, to speak your mind instead of other than resorting to expletives. All right. So,
thank you.
But also again, but Gayman, the difference between you and myself is this: I speak it as I see it. All right. I support Yekeh, but I'm saying he's excessive. He goes out of tangent by calling George Weah a dog. I would call George Weah a Kakaleka president. That's what he does. He went to Maryland to dance Kakaleka, saying he was singing Winner Man when a president supposed to be puffering policies and educating, sensitizing his people on what they're supposed to do to take themselves out of penury. Penury is an extent of poverty that doesn't make sense. And hold on. You see, when
he was so lame, Mr. Gayman, I will come to you. I have a 12th question.
Just hold on, small. Hold on, small. Instead of standing on stage and singing Lion Man, you're supposed to be able to teach your people reform, teach your people patriotism, teach your people nationalistic paradigms and principles so that their lives can be changed as a nation. But you go on stage to go sing Winner Man and dance Kakaleka. It doesn't make sense to me. But let me answer the question.
There you go.
Hold on now. Hold on.
You will talk. I will give you a chance. You're filibustering the conversation here.
No, I'm not. When you're talking, I can give you a chance. My thing is this. Okay, let me just give me 1 second or 5 seconds. Yeah. My point is, as much as I disagree with the excesses of Yekeh, I will support Yekeh because he's the only anti-corruption crusader in the National House of Representatives.
All right, Josh.
Only one.
Let leave it right there. I would not support somebody when their behavior is unruly. Whether or not I agree with what they stand for, I'm not going to support them because of the excesses, in your own words, that they are doing. I will not support you because the last time you're not the only person. I don't have to support you. I must agree and stand by all the things that you do before I can support you.
So let's come to Gayman here. In a situation, we don't have anybody else. So
Josh, George, let me further. Let's come to Mr. Gayman. Mr. Gayman, you know, we can talk so and talk so, as we will say in Liberia. Our current president and the legislature, especially a leadership, is dogma. Do you agree? Is everything that the CDC does right? Is that why you're telling me? Because all I'm hearing from you, all is well. So tell me one thing that this government is doing that you think for which Yekeh has this anger that he's bringing out, but in a way that is not acceptable.
Well, I first of all has to agree with my brother here, my younger brother, Mr. Tulay, when he said
so you're not tutoring him anymore.
No, listen. But no, I have to agree because he made some sense when he said the gentleman is out of track. He's out of whack, and we understand that. And I also agree with him that people we get what we elect. So those people that elected crazy Kolubah got crazy Kolubah,
and the same people elected George Weah.
Listen to this, and he also mentioned that George Weah went to Kipamas and he was dancing.
Kakaleka.
Whatever
dancing Kakaleka.
Kakaleka, that's beautiful. I was dancing to that song myself because I love it. And the president was in the environment of the folks. And when you go to, what they say, when you go to Rome, you do what the Romans do. And the president was doing that. And guess what? Let me give you an example. In the state of Florida here with
Stop this America thing, Jerome.
Excuse me. Why are you filibustering here? Now let me tell you this.
You think you alone live in the state? I live in the state too. I'm not giving you Minnesota example here.
When George Bush left from here, went to Liberia, he was in the environment of our people dancing and singing, and he got on the drum and played the drum and played the salsa and sang. That is politics at its best. So George,
so it's a politics too that we saw Mr. Cummings with Musa Belete trying to use that thing, and he sat down on the floor. I think it was in a mosque or somewhere. Is that good politics? Do you agree with that?
That's what it is. So you cannot say.
So you agree with Darius DeLong when he went there and did the same thing? I heard you criticizing that.
Because I knew he was not for real.
So how do you know Josh Weah is for real? Come on, man.
No, listen. I want you to just pose the picture. The first time Darius DeLong went to the mosque, he stood. He never sat.
Yeah. And the
second time when he was running for office, he sat down. That's hypocrisy. We have that. That shouldn't happen in our political discourse. That's all I'm saying. But George Weah, like you said, why has George Weah done wrong in my eye?
George Weah expected that. George Weah would be genuine, but the other folks would not be genuine.
Yeah.
President Weah did not fire everybody and bring in his own people. He did that. That was wrong. He needs to bring in, if you are a Democrat, you bring in Democrat, you Republican, you bring in Democrat, you bring in Republican.
So you changing the topic now? Wait for the moderator.
And UPP there.
Wait for the moderator. You changing the topic. You're not.
Don't change the topic. I'm driving the discussion here.
No, you asked me. You say, what do I see wrong in the CDC government? I just told you what I see wrong is George. We are bringing in people. They say we are a Republican from the government.
Name me some of those people. Name me some of those people. Who are some of those people George you have brought in that you disagree with? Give me names. Don't be a coward here.
I'm not a coward. Let's look at the NSA director. The NSA director shouldn't be there. Let's look at
what makes what.
Excuse me.
Hold on, George. Let the man in there. Hold on, George. Let him
for names. The justice minister shouldn't be there. The agriculture minister shouldn't be there. The transport minister shouldn't be there. So all of these people we are talking about shouldn't be.
What's about those other ones that Mamba Modu talk about? Those one that got appointed because the president was in kind of something with them, calling them sunshine and ice cream. Should those people be there too or not be there?
Listen, yes. They serve at the will and pleasure of the president. I can call you my friend. I can call you name. We were kids. We can call each other. We are friends. We can call each other name. Like my brother Tulay here. Tulay, I went on Facebook page. He got a baby name and all that stuff.
So it has to come to a debate for us to press you before you can muster the courage, the tenacity, and the fortitude to say that those ice cream that got appointed, even though they were not qualified, but they should not have been appointed in the
How do
first
you know?
place.
How do you know they were not qualified?
Well, then if they are qualified, maybe the president should appoint them, right? Is that
He
what you're
did,
saying?
and he did. They are qualified.
All right.
The ice cream is just the ice cream name is just the cherry on the cake.
Can you
All right,
imagine
gentlemen,
this?
let's get your concluding statement on this subject so we can go to the next issue. Folks, you are watching Focus on Liberia. This is our program on point. I'm Anthony C. moderating. This is a debate between two outstanding brains here from Mama Liberia, Mr. George Tulay and the veteran Jerome Gayman. He likes that veteran name. I don't know why. He started from UPP days. I don't know how they got Leonard with the CDC. And he's singing this song, the Kumbaya of CDC. But we will be talking about kleptocracy. A representative of the US government classify our government as a kleptocracy, classifying our president as a kleptocrat, a government that is in power that just stealing money. I'm not going to economize the words here because that's what he meant. So, gentlemen, let's get your concluding statement on the Yekeh issue. Let's start with you, George.
The truth about it is, like you said, I'll go back to you. You said that no matter what, once you disagree with some fundamental things about an individual, you would never support them, no matter their action or what the overarching issue. For me, in politics is a game of compromise. There are certain things I do not compromise. One of the things I don't compromise is your incorruptibility, your level of being very, very scrupulous. If you are dishonest, it's a different thing. I've found Yekeh to be very honest. Yekeh is rough on the edges because of his level of education. He was voted for. Like we say, the Liberian people deserve the leaders that they elect.
All right.
We quickly. Ghana has Nana Akufo. All right.
You are trying to query this guy for using example in the US.
Yeah. But just saying some Nana example per se. Ghana has the Nana Akufo, Nana Addo as president, right? And we have George Weah. That shows you the level of our ability to what a word we use, to examine leaders and make sure that we have a set of criteria that informs our decision as a body politic.
All right.
In Liberia, we elect leaders based on popularity, based on all kinds of metrics that are not the real or germane to the issue of economic development and growth of a nation. So as a result, we will get what we always elect. Yekeh, in my view, may be rough on the edges, but he's an anti-corruption and human rights crusader, and he will always have my support. I will tell him I disagree with him in a way he addresses these issues, but I will support him because, in my view, Buffer Chimba is a disappointment not only to himself, to the entire Liberia.
Thank you. Mr. Gayman, your final thoughts on this Yekeh suspension issue.
Mr. Tulay, I got to admire you for you to come on national TV and admit that you were wrong and eat your own word. But I want to remind you, when you use words have meanings. When you say he's a crusader for human rights, then you don't know who Yekeh Kolubah is.
His past doesn't matter.
Kolubah, the murderer, the man who killed women and opened their stomach and take their babies out when he was in
Mr. Gayman, do you have facts to this guy?
You know that thing
he's a killer. Right? He is a murderer. If you call him a just man and a crusader of human rights, then let me refer you to Tip O'Neill, the former Speaker of the House. He said the United States Congress has a total approval of 8%, but individual senators and representatives have 80% approval rating in their district. That means everybody likes their own crooks. Mr. Tulay, you like that crook. You like your own crook. This man is a murderer. He was a child soldier. He killed, he murdered, he maimed, he raped,
and
you are telling me that
Jerome, he was a what?
You are saying he's a crusader or human
Yeah,
rights? Arrest my
I'm
case.
asking you. You
All
said he
right.
was a why? He was a child
Gentlemen, we
soldier,
have to
right?
leave it there on that issue. Again, folks watching us here, focus on Liberia. We want to say thank you for staying with us throughout this broadcast. And by the way, this one is a debate. I'm answering here moderating. We have Mr. George Tulay and Mr. Jerome Gayman, and we are debating the hot political issues in Liberia. Let's come to our third issue here. Gentlemen, I will tell you, man, we have 120 comments right now. I'm not sure we're going to get to them, but folks, get your comments coming. We will read them. The next issue on our menu here is our government being described as kleptocracy. Well, Mr. Gayman, let me have you play defense on this one. What do you make of this statement coming from the U.S. congressman? Is there anything in it? Should the CDC government be worried? What do you think of this?
Not at all, not an iota of worry on the CDC part. And I'm
Well,
going to
not
lay
yet.
the premise. I'm going to lay the premise. Congressman Chris Smith is the equivalent of maybe Yekeh Kolubah in the U.S. House for being a blabbermouth. He talks without reading the facts. He reads usually when you look at the tape, if you see the tape, you will see his face going this way. He's reading from the prompter, teleprompter. So that tells me that whatever somebody interject into this teleprompter is why he's reading. It is not based on facts. Now, let me lay the premise here, and I want to be very clear. First of all, he's a liar. First of all, second of all, he has been caught with his pants down several times. Let me go to the premise. If you have the tape, play the Justina Taylor tape, where Justina Taylor says she has proof that she and Jefferson Koji were in a camp where he is a cold-blooded murderer. He's a killer. He kills the mother of Chucky's or baby that came out with the one arm, killed the woman, and other these things. Subsequent to that, that particular tape was taken out of context and it was sent to Mr. Verdier and his cohort, Alan White. They took that tape to the congressman's office and talked to his staff, and his staff interjected that into his speech that Jefferson Koji not only was he talkish, but he has also been human rights abuser. Now, the Liberian government responded in kind to remind him that if you put the chronological events in order here, by the time he's talking about this young man who had been about 7 or 8 years old. So they took that back, that Jefferson Koji was not a child soldier. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission, Massa Washington, came out and said Jerome Verdier is wrong because we have never investigated Jefferson Koji. His name was never mentioned. He was never part of our investigation, and that was just pure wrong. So we know for the fact that this particular congressman reads things off his teleprompter without verifying the facts. Now let's look at what he said. He said that Vannie Sherman, where he said the President George Weah, has been looting the coffer from the very inception when he came into power. And then he went on to say Vannie Sherman was also sanctioned and that the Congress needed to do more. But let me tell you what he had right. He had nothing to do with Vannie Sherman's sanction. Vannie Sherman's sanction came from Global Witness. That was factual. They had cases where he was indicted. They had return checks. They had money paid from banks to individuals. They had all of those things. It was based on
Stick to the
that.
George Weah issue because
No,
you're taking
no,
too long
but
now.
this is what I'm telling you because I want to lay the premise that the gentleman is uninformed. So for him to make those comments, the Georgia government has to be relaxed because they know that he go in America with it, he go again.
Okay.
All right. Josh, you come in. All basically Jerome is saying this man he never gets his facts straight. He's been given false information by individual and he reads it on his teleprompter. This statement from him is just a routine statement from just about anybody. It does not constitute anything significant to the CDC. The CDC people should go and drink wine and beer. Do you see it that way, Josh?
No,
And
it's
why?
not. It's not the same. When he made that statement, it was at a hearing relating to, because you see, during the Trump regime, the America stepped back from his role,
Right.
basically as the worst policeman, right? So under the Biden leadership, with the gavel being in the hands of the Democrats, these issues have been resurfaced again. So they were looking across the globe at human rights issues, and corruption and the abuse of state resources is a human rights issue. It's not only an issue of national security, but it's also a human rights issue. So they were taking a panoramic view of of the word, and looking at leaders across the globe that are involved with the abuse of office. And that's how they came to Liberia. And the truth is, Liberia is not nothing is hidden about Liberia. The former US ambassador to Liberia is now the US ambassador to the United
The United
Nations.
Nations, yeah.
And these people are very much aware of everything. I mean, from listening in on George Weah's conversation, which we know nothing is hidden, right? They know everything. Even the Chinese. When the Chinese supply you computer and things, you put on the internet, they harvest your data. We know. So these people know everything you do, even from your bedroom. Nothing is hidden from them, especially from their vantage point up Mama Point there. They know everything is going on. So they can know things about their country. What more about an unsophisticated backward country like Liberia? But let me get back to the issue of the kleptocracy. George Weah and any president in Liberia can control the narrative in the national space. It's easy. Any president can do it. We saw Madam Selu do it. Her people like Robert Pade and the rest of them will be able to call these. They have people calling on the line, paying them, buying scratch card and things. They call them, I don't know what, normal caller association. Every day when you open the phones, there will be certain guys that will call your radio station to talk about the issues and back and support Madam Salif. It's happening today. Nothing strange. We know it's just the continuation of the policies of the Elite Salim government. But when it comes to the issue of the only reason why I raised this is that there's nothing hidden in Liberia that is not known by the West. They know everything. When you read the yearly report from the State Department regarding Liberia, they itemize the issues of corruption that they're aware of. They list them every time, the ones that they can really bring out to discuss. Because even though they discuss these issues, they still try to prop up regimes because they don't want insurrection and a return to violence. So they have to support. That's
So,
why
Josh, how
sometimes
is this one different? What is in it? Is there anything in it?
there is everything that they said that George Weah is a kleptocrat. He's a kleptocrat. Who is a kleptocrat? A kleptocrat is a leader in government, as a government official who steals for the sake of. He steals. Hold on, Jerome. Hold on, Jerome.
Mr. Gayman, you have so much time. You have so much time.
You had enough time. He steals for the sake of, not because he actually needs it, but because it is fashionable at that very moment to just siphon state funds. We have seen, and the reason why anybody can look at Liberia and say Liberia is a kleptocracy is because even though, like you and I discussed on Friday, the bulk of our budget goes towards recurrent costs. The little that is there that should go towards actual infrastructure development.
But Josh, I see this statement as a routine statement. I don't think it constitutes any threat to the presidency.
No, but they are saying that they are going to be sanctioning individuals. And let me be honest with you.
No. I wouldn't let him.
He will soon learn, Mr. Gayman. Hold your peace, Mr. Gayman. He will soon learn.
You were rebutted.
Mr. Gayman, hold your peace. He will soon learn.
You were rebutted. Let me say this to you. When the Magnetic Act is being discussed, and people and nations are being called
Mhm.
and and the names of specific individuals have been mentioned. Those individuals, they have it is incumbent upon them not to sleep well.
Has that
No,
happened before?
Oh, it's a common thing that
uh,
happens all the time.
Mr.
Nations have
The
been
U.S.
sanctioned.
and George, here's
S-
the thing, Mr. Gayman, hold your peace. Let me hold
mhm.
George accountable here. The U.S. government have repeatedly called Prince Johnson by name whenever this subject of a war crime call, came about.
Mhm,
And there was a resolution in the House,
mhm,
unanimously passed,
mhm.
1055, one of those who advocated for that. I'm not trying to blow
Yeah,
my horn here. And
yeah,
that thing is lying there. The U.S. government has not taken action. How is
yeah,
that different from the Manisky Act? This is just
yeah.
a
The
routine thing.
Manisky Act. The reason why it's different is because we have had the person who I say is primarily responsible for the orchestration, the planning and orchestration of the Civil War
Mhm.
is a darling of the West. Maybe if she something happened to her, God forbid, and she passed on, and Prince Johnson is still alive, then you'll be held accountable. But I'm telling you now, as long as she's alive, that report will remain there. That
So
Mr.
action.
should we
Hold
take
on,
the
Jerome.
West here?
I am
Should we
telling
take
you,
control of America serious in any way?
we
Because
we 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 would
why you telling
listen.
me is
What I'm
implying to
saying
me
to
that they are
you,
selective.
if you ask me, yes, they are. They
Wow.
are. Because guess what? George Weah has no representative amongst them blowing his
We
horn.
have Mr. Gayman here.
Oh, that man's an outsider. Who knows this man? I'm talking about Linda Thomas Greenfield
Mhm.
being
Excuse me.
a
Excuse me.
senior supporter of Ellie.
All right, George.
Mr. Steer.
Let me bring in Gayman.
Mr.
Why are
Steer.
you so hungry? You say you are
Mr. Steer.
conducting a tutorial and you can't
Mr.
even bear
Steer.
patience. But go ahead, Mr. Gayman.
Mr. Steer. Let me.
Yeah.
This is what I say.
Uh-huh.
I see my brother here. I don't think his expertise is in governance or in government or in political science. He might be a media person. So I understand where he's coming from. Everything he talks about is on the periphery. But let me tell you how the subcommittee works. This
I'm supposed to waste my time here to tell you to come teach you
excuse me,
how
excuse
American
me.
Hold
presidents
on, hold on,
procedure
George. Let
Are
him
you
responsible for
gonna
go.
that.
wait here? Are you
You
gonna
are
wait here? Let
funny.
me talk.
You're
You
funny.
said it's my turn, right?
Go ahead, Mr. Gayman.
Chris Smith served on the not even on the committee, on the subcommittee. The subcommittee makes whenever they meet, they make their report to the full committee.
I agree.
The full committee makes their report and recommendation based on what they said to the State Department. The State Department confers with their representative on the ground, which is the ambassador to Liberia, to confirm the allegations. When it has been confirmed, because the ambassador represents the president directly, that list then goes to the president for approval. But now let's look at what the ambassador of Liberia. Can you put that letter up for me, please? If you have that letter.
When did you send this letter?
I sent a letter to you. If you check, it is there. But it was this letter was dated March the 18th, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And this letter came from the ambassador. It was addressed to Yekeh Kolubah.
Mm-hmm.
And the letter says Yekeh Kolubah raised a concern about corruption.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what the ambassador says. It is on the U.S. letterhead. It said Honorable Yekeh Y. Kolubah represented District 10, Monserrato County, the Capitol Building, Capitol Hill, Monrovia, Liberia. Dear Representative Kolubah, I
Mm-hmm.
wish to thank you for your March 17 letter and your concern about corruption within the government of Liberia. Like many other Liberians and those who care about the future of this country, I share your concern.
Mm-hmm.
This is why the U.S. mission to Liberia have invested heavily to implement increased transparency in Liberia budget tracking system, professionalize criminal justice operations, and build the capacity of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission and other integrity institutions.
The
It
one
is
Wambo
my
Dickie
hope,
was hailing.
excuse me, it is my hope and expectation that
Uh-huh.
those institutions and the good people of Liberia will continue
I
The
like that.
noble.
It is my hope. Is that
Listen
hope
to this.
coming to
Listen.
fruition?
Listen. It is my hope.
I wouldn't have even brought that letter
Yeah.
up if I were you.
And expectation that the institution and the good people of Liberia will continue the noble and necessary fight against the government, against
And Mr.
corruption.
Gayman,
The noble.
let me give you one piece of, let me give you just one billboard,
Uh-huh.
political billboard for you to choose
Uh-huh.
from. And that billboard is
Mhm.
that letter came from the U.S. Embassy. Is that
That's
right?
from the
Are
ambassador.
you
That's correct.
aware that the U.S. Embassy was a signatory to a joint letter issued by 9 diplomatic heavyweights to this very government that you stole our money and pull it right back? And that is why the ambassador is telling you that it is my hope
No,
and
no, no, no,
expectation
no. When you
No,
put
it
it
didn't
from,
that
happen.
this rogue
no, no.
government will
Excuse me.
act.
Excuse me.
That,
Excuse me.
just
Let's
if
be
you listen to the
chronological.
ambassador was
Let
helpless.
no
He said, I
listen.
can't do anything.
Listen
We
to
let
this.
Go ahead.
Listen to
George,
this.
not giving time.
Let's listen to this. Let's be chronological, because what you guys are trying to do is you are trying to overlap.
No, we're
When
talking about the same government yet.
no, 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 no. Listen to
Go
this.
ahead.
Let's be chronological. When was that letter that you were talking about written?
That letter was written in 2019, I believe, somewhere around May.
Thank you. And the letter did not use the terminology that you use, but we're giving you the fact. Okay, that presupposes this. Now I will take you back to the ambassador's confirmation hearing. Did you watch his confirmation hearing?
I did.
When he appeared before Senator Hernandez from New Jersey, the senator asked him, "You are going to Liberia. What would be your number one task in Liberia? Your number one concern?" And you know what he said?
Fighting
No, he
corruption.
said, no. Sir, I want you to be very, very precise when you're talking to me. He says, "I am going to fight the perception of corruption." And another asking, excuse me, and they ask you what you mean by perception. He says, because we have representatives in every institution in Liberia, and we have data in real time. So this corruption that they are talking about is perceptional. Pull it up, it's there. So we are talking about
the letter talking about money being stolen by the Liberian government is also perceptional.
Don't muddle up the debate here.
No, we're not muddling up the debate.
You are muddling up the debate here. You are talking about 2019 when the folks said that money was used that was supposed to be replaced, and it had been done in the previous government, and the George Weah government said it will never happen again. So let us not go back there. Let's discuss the issue here.
No, Mr. Gayman, you know what you're doing right there? You are just saying that it was only one time. You are only saying, hold on, Mr. Gayman. What you are saying is that you are saying, okay, yes, let me agree with you, Anthony. Yes, there was some corruption carried on by this government in 2019, and you said that the government said it would never happen again. Do you want me to believe that that was the only corruption that has happened in this government?
It was not corruption.
What is your definition of corruption? When you take somebody's money that does not belong to you, it's not corruption?
Listen to this. Listen to this. If you have ever managed in government or in major institution, okay, there's something called supplanting. That is taking, let's say you are expecting money to come in to pay certain debt, but you have money in reserve that could be used for that. And you use that money and then you put it back. Either way, it's called supplanting. But there's nothing illegal about that, because there is a precedent in Liberia. There is a precedent in Liberia that they do it all the time.
Please conclude so Joyce can come in. I'm not buying what you're telling me.
Well, I am giving you what we call, those are things that you can look up. Have you ever worked in government? Look at the word supplanting. It is not illegal when you have a precedent. The bear said it. Previous government have done it.
Thank you.
And that
Thank
is
you. Let me come to you, George. Mr. Gayman, you made your point that George come in. Do you agree with the explanation of supplanting and whatever?
It's so far-fetched. I'm embarrassed for the guy. I'm embarrassed for Jerome right now, to be honest with you. Because he is saying that, the man's how you call it, the man's characterization of the Liberian government as a kleptocracy is not correct. But when you go back and say, diplomatic missions, 9 diplomatic missions wrote a letter of admonition and say, hey, we are admonishing you, stop taking our money to use okay, because you have no entitlement to it. We put that money in escrow or whatever holding account for a particular purpose, and you are going into it illegally. I want to ask him if you know about any other place in the world where the diplomatic missions are rating of government. I'm admonishing the government to stop taking their funds to use it. How many countries you know of that have happened to?
Excuse me. Let me just refresh your memory here. Just recently in the United States, okay, we are talking about this going administration now. Because I want to give you real live issues here. You understand? You understood that we were saying that when the Chinese embassy, the Chinese president, when all of these people came, they were supposed to be housed at Camp David. And the president took them, the president took them and all the calls to Mar-a-Lago in Florida, and he charged the money to himself and he took the money. They were, and everybody said that was order, and that was corruption. So don't tell me these things happen.
No, 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 no. You keep trying to compare yourself with a country that has
there
systems.
you go.
Hold on, hold
There
on, hold
you
on, hold
go.
on.
George,
Mr.
You keep
Gayman,
trying,
Mr.
I will
Gayman,
not allow you to get away
Mr.
with
Gayman, you
this.
want to interject, let him
When
continue.
you say the word, including the United States, they are applying their standard to George.
no,
Now
no,
when
no,
we are
no, no,
giving you
no.
an example, you
Jerome,
said no, we shouldn't.
Jerome, Mr. Gayman, Mr. Gayman, you keep comparing Liberia. You keep comparing Liberia. Your
Mr.
volume
Gayman,
is
let him
off.
speak. Let him speak.
I think my volume is off too, right?
No, no, no. Go ahead. I
Okay.
muted him.
Yeah, you keep comparing Liberia to
There you go.
America.
There
You
you
keep
go.
comparing. Don't look. Listen, George Weah came to power. Let's go back and look at the actions of the Weah government, the issues that have come out regarding corruption, and the lack of accountability that have come out of also their actions in the last 3 years. George Weah government came to power, and we all heard the noise. There were protests about missing monies
Where?
that we till today.
Where?
Yeah,
Where?
man, Liberia, man. How will you
Where?
be
Now
asking
Let
give
me?
him
me
learn,
facts.
Mr. Gayman. Let him
No,
learn. We are running
let
out
him
of
give
time,
us facts.
gentlemen.
We
One
don't
at a
want him
time,
to give
please.
us facts.
You saw the protest, the first protest that Costa organized. It was
What
about the missing printed money. How can you be asking me
no.
where?
Listen. We are not going to reduce this
Gentlemen,
debate. We are
gentlemen,
not going to reduce
let me
the
bring
debate
order
to
here. Let me bring
protest.
order
We're not
here.
going
Hey
to
man,
do that.
stop
I'm
this
not
thing,
going to allow.
man. When you're talking, people get you chance. Let's exhibit some maturity here.
Folks, I muted the both of you. Folks in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia. This is our program on point. We have Mr. George Tulay and Mr. Jerome Gayman, and we are having a debate here. We have been debating, or they have been debating, by the way, more or less invitation, arrest, and incarceration. We also debated the issue Representative Yekeh Kolubah suspension, whether or not it was warranted. And right now, we are on this issue of the CDC government being classified as a kleptocracy. And finally, we'll be going to the president's county tour. We want to know whether or not this county tour is making any difference economically in the lives of Liberians, other than a president going around to enjoy himself. Gentlemen, let's do it one at a time. We have 152 persons listening. They want to be able to follow. I know the both of you want the best for Liberia, just as I am. But let's talk one at a time so that we will all be able to enjoy the conversation. So, Mr. Tulay, you continue.
Okay, my microphone on. Thank God.
Mm-hmm.
The thing we all saw from the beginning, they came to power.
Mm-hmm.
George Weah, I will say this. I know you will say, "Oh, I don't get facts." Fine, it's your business. There are a lot of things that we accused Malaterim of, and we never presented any fact to anybody about those accusations because we didn't have them. But we knew the facts, the reality. There's having prima facie evidence in Liberia is very, very difficult to come by, especially when the government controls all the mediums. The thing about it is this: we will know the issues emanating from their actions. Now let's come to the issue of kleptocracy. When George Weah was in power, I can tell you when George Weah was out of power before he became senator, it was me and two other fellows, I can call their names, that we were one of the first people to make the call to George Weah to talk to him about becoming a senator. For me, I had an ulterior motive. And my ulterior motive was this guy that is being hailed as the messiah of the Liberian people. I wanted him to come into the Senate so the Liberian people would see how inept he was as a leader. By that time, I was at his radio station. So I told my colleague Alex Biede, we're on the beach in Mama Point in the evening. I was driving around town, call Alex, where are you? I'm on the beach, sitting down with my fiance and my friend Civicus Basigia. I said, oh, I'm driving to you guys. Mama Point. I went on the beach in the night. And we sat down there, we're talking about Liberia. I said, man, let's talk to this guy. We called him on Alex's phone. And we told him, he said, look, man, Mr. Ambassador, we think it would be best for you to run for senator. And he said, oh, you're just talking, I think, because people, if I go there, people put corruption on me. Verbatim, I'm quoting him verbatim. That was what he said. They'll put corruption on him. My whole goal was this guy would get us so Liberian people will see how inept he is so that we won't get to where we are today. Fast forward. Also, I'm aware, because I work at his entity, I can put up pictures of Kings FM and Cloud TV that he called a media empire in the international community. He called it a media empire. I can show you the pictures of the place that he called a media empire. But going forward, my point to you, I put it to you today that George Weah was broke before he became senator. And he remained broke as a senator because he has no fiscal discipline going into the presidency. So when he got into the presidency, George Weah wasn't broke. The house that he broke down on 9th Street to rebuild after he became president, it was his property. Didn't he see it was decrepit and broken down when he was
the word dilapidated. It was dilapidated.
It was dilapidated. Leaking. He could see it, but he passed it because he didn't have money to do anything about it. As soon as he became president, he started going about becoming a real estate developer immediately. And you say he is not a kleptocrat. Let me also. You'll come there, Jerome. You'll come there, Jerome.
Yeah, be brief, George. Be brief,
yeah,
George.
Okay. No, but they may have enough time. So give me 1 more minute. As much as we look at those sudden gotten wealth to carry out serious multi-million-dollar real estate development, we know how much the Liberian president takes home in terms of salary. It's not enough to build one of those buildings in the first year. We all know that. But all of a sudden, he could carry out series of high rises, multi-million-dollar construction overnight, instantaneously. But forget about that. We know that the money got missing. We all said the money was missing. They said, no, there was no money missing. But they were able to arrest the president, the former president's son, and other members of the leadership of the Central Bank of Liberia and put them in prison, charge them to court for money that was missing that they claim wasn't missing. You and I were here. We saw the argument between the minister of what's his name? The minister of information and the minister of finance regarding Eugene Nangbe and Twe arguing money missing, money not missing. We all saw the drama. At the end of the day,
Josh, your 1 minute is over. Let me come to Mr. Gayman. You make your point there, Mr. Gayman. Let me come to you. What make you to think that our president, the guy you call doctor, I don't know where you're going with the doctor thing. He never worked for one. It's not a kleptocrat.
He's well educated.
You see, when I was at the University of New Jersey, Rutgers University, when I did debate 101, and I like my young brother here. He's doing very well. He's trying to hold his own. When you don't have facts, you rant, which is what he has done. He's talking about a president built multi-million-dollar houses. He got no proof. He got no figure. He got no.
He said the president was broke.
Yeah, he said the president was broke. He shows
I work for him.
Excuse me. I got 57 employees. They work for me. They don't know how much I made. They don't know how much in my bank. They don't know what I have for my children. They don't know my investment. They don't know how much I got in stock. They don't know how much I got in my 401k. So you are not privy to that information. So what you are talking about is pure speculation, and you are entitled to it. I can't debunk that because
it's not speculation.
I can't. No, you are speculating. You don't show me any number. There's no papers.
George, let him continue. Hold on,
George, when you are talking to me, you are talking to me. I want you to bring me some facts, some hard numbers. You don't have it. You are speculating.
George, let him learn. You will come in. Let him learn.
You talk about it. Now, let me bring you back to why I think that George, he should go to sleep and actually drink not regular champagne. but Dom Perignon because of Chris Smith. Now,
Oh,
Chris Smith,
Hennessy
no,
XO is a
listen to
drink.
this. Chris Smith will have to make a report to the chairman of the committee, and the gentleman name is Meek. He is the new chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee right here.
Is it because Jefferson Koji
No,
showed
no,
his
no,
hand
no, no.
before?
Listen to this. Listen to this. He will have to look at the facts before he forward to the State Department. So what we are talking about here, this is Congressman has the right to say whatever he wants. If you see, he wasn't reading to say this is bill number XYZ. He never said that. He only read.
Forget about that. Let's look at the issue on the ground in Liberia.
Now listen to this. Listen to this. Let me show you this. So while we are talking about this here, I want to show you why this man should not be taken seriously.
Oh, come on.
Nobody should. Okay? Nobody should, because he is not serious. And
Mr. Gayman, we are waiting for you.
Yes. I'll send you this picture. I was hoping that you will put it up so everybody can see. This is Allen West, and this is Jerome Verdier and Chris Smith. This is Jerome Verdier giving him something to read, which is exactly what he read about Jefferson Koji. It's right here. I want you to see this. So what I'm telling you here for the Georgia administration, for these people like Tulay and the opposition to be saying that they say they got people name on the list. Where do they get this information?
We don't care about that.
It is all fabrication. The White House or the secret committee, there is no secret committee that says, like Costa said, I just got called that they are putting snow on there. It's not how it works in this country. It is not how it works in America. That's not how committee work. It's all fabrication. This is why when I'm talking to you, I feel a little sad.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gayman. Thank you, Mr. Gayman. George, hold on. George, hold on. I have a question for you here. You know how politics is playing in the U.S. between the two parties.
Yes.
The two parties, to a greater extent, they don't see eye to eye.
That's correct.
Especially now, given the way the Republicans have behaved with Trump.
That's correct.
This Chris guy, he is a Republican.
That's correct.
Whatever narrative he comes up with, we're talking about foreign affairs here. It is the executive branch of government, the White House, that will implement it.
That's right.
So whatever he's coming up with, if it is not substantive, if there's no truth in it, the White House will not take it and will not implement it.
Even the White House, the committee.
So looking at this, do you think the CDC or Mr. Gayman, I'm conducting a tutorial for you here. If you are in my
thank you. Listen, I copyrighted that
I'm
word.
asking my question and you're interrupting the moderator. I will subtract 2 points from you for that. You are already down 50 points and you're interrupting the moderator. So George, come in. Let's look at the power play with the two parties and this guy being a Republican.
Yeah, the truth here is, as much as they disagree on a lot of substantive issues, they also agree on a lot of issues also.
Okay.
Those same bipartisan committees, they also agree on things. When things are not germane to the political landscape in America, they all collaborate in most cases. They only disagree on issues in America. There will be certain things that they will disagree on when certain things is bipartisan. And I'm telling you, when it comes to the Magnitsky Act, is a bipartisan subcommittee.
But Josh, there were disagreement on. There have been a lot of disagreement. Let's talk about Iraq. There was a huge disagreement between the Republican and the Democrat.
Yeah,
Can you imagine of reason why Americans are dying in thousands? We're talking about 500 plus thousand Americans have died, and the Democrats are saying, "Let's provide vaccine. Let's give our people stimulus check." The Republicans said, "No, not a single one." Why would Democrats listen to Chris?
I told you, I said, once it has to do with something that is outside
Oh,
No, but
oh,
I made it clear
oh,
here. You see,
gee.
you gotta understand there is no set rule. There is no set rule. These guys, they function differently. Every committee function differently. It's an interpersonal relationship thing. Some places they have relationship. The majority, the chairman and the minority leader or the minority member, the ranking member on in the committee, they have, if they have had long-term working relationship, they will agree, they will disagree. My point here to you is this: all these things I'm telling you, Chris Smith did not make frivolous statement regarding Liberia.
He
All
did.
right, gentlemen,
Yes.
gentlemen, gentlemen, the people that are following, they too are debating. Let's hear from them. Let do them justice a little bit. All right. Let's do them justice. Let's read some comments. I'm enjoying myself. Yeah, you guys can see I'm smiling. Mr. Gayman is being challenged yet to the core. He thinks he's gonna have some kind of softball here. No softball for him. This one is from Sastan, Liberia. Mr. George Tudor, did you work for Mr. Weah as his financial advisor? Somebody asking the question. I'm always in the discussion. George Weah was broke. Whether you believe it or not, he definitely was. Like, yeah, from Rennies, I think you are being very disrespectful to Mr. Gitman since the genesis of this debate. This is from it. If you are talking to me, Mr. Gitman doesn't feel like that. This guy is a friend, and this is what we do. We have fun when we're having a discussion, though very serious about the things we talk about concerning our country. This person is coming after me. Moderator, you need to be honest and balanced in your analysis. I will do my best, but I'm thinking I'm doing my best. You just don't have the eyes to see. Let's hear from Flomo. The worst enemy to President we are is Mr. Gayman. That person is making the point, Mr. Gayman. The fact that you are not being truthful to President we are, you are the worst enemy. Let's hear from Liberia, West Africa. Thanks so much, Mr. Gayman, for educating these guys. George, you should be ashamed of yourself for going on social media to debate an issue without not a single fact, but a mouth talk. You are kidding me, Mr. Opposition Mouthpiece. Shame on you. You can only fool the ignorant Liberians who believe you say, and I say, they say, he says, she says. This
Mm,
person writes. Let's
mm,
bring this man. This is from Jabba Jimmy. Just show everyone in Liberia what to be president. Is how everyone is a journalist. I don't know what he's saying here. A lot of comments, gentlemen.
right.
The debate here is hot. Like hear from this person. This person is Clarence Tony, Mr. Gayman, George Tulay, and Mr. Moderator. Thanks for the effort being made to educate us Liberians abroad and far. George Tudor listening to Jerome. We have to compare Liberia with the America, he writes. This is where we get our principle for governance, he writes. You see, so I mean, let's see here from Edward Doe. Edward Doe is an affiliate here. He should be here debating this issue. I don't know why, but Mr. Gilman told me Edward is not well. Edward, we wish you well there, brother. He says supplementing. Is that the word? I don't know. Supplanting. Yeah, that's the word. Jerome Gayman, he asking a question. Is this the justification? Using an escrow account? He's asking question again. An escrow account is not an asset account to be supplemented to pay bills, but rather a liability account. How does one use a liability account as supplemental account? Mr. Gayman, Edward is coming after you. He is not well, but he is not sleeping. Mr. Moderator and Tulay, you are confusingly not listening to the good information Gayman is sharing with you. You are all over the place from topic to topic without discussing the real issue. Somebody is coming after me in the sea, my man Josh and myself in the same boat here. I'm having fun here, folks. Flomo Sabarai, 2003. World War III, Yekeh Kolubah was declared a hero in Morovia by the international NGO, local and international business, he said. Let's bring this one in from Mr. Adipeiga. I hope I got it right. First name is Jerome, according to Mr. Gayman, on Yekeh killed, but he agreed in advocating on the War and Economic Crimes Court establishment. We are in his CDC families are refusing to establish such court. You who consider law, Maybe he said, consider who loves Liberia,
Who you
because we
consider?
are is saying no to the World Economic Crime Code, even though he and Mohamed Malu were championing this code. Maybe they were being deceitful. Let's read from Mayfi Deco. That's a big lie. Congressman Smith did not accuse Jefferson Koji of taking part in a civil war. Check your fat before spewing out crap. Somebody is going after Gayman. I like this thing. Eugene Hammer writes, is he the one to establish a war and economic crimes code? Don't forget, he is the head of the executive branch of government. Somebody is making an argument that is not George Weah's work. But remember, George Weah campaigned for this, his party campaigns for this, and you are excusing him and you are being very dishonest. Which proof do you want? You don't know that Yekeh was part of the Liberian war. Yekeh has never denied. Yekeh has never even denied that he has killed people. But he wants the War and Economic Crimes Code. George Weah is bluffing. Mohamed Malu is bluffing. Jerome Gayman is bluffing. Jerome, you people do not like Liberia. I think you should be advising the Weah government
to behave properly.
Yes, you should be advising the Weah government properly. Folks, we appreciate your contribution, but because of time here, please write it better. The hate for President Weah, those failed oppositions and their supporter are willing to support any dogs and cats. We don't use those kind of language, yeah? Don't never write like that again. We'll not read it. Joe Monyu, and a video focus on Liberia. He writes, Christmas trying to tie Weah to the Maniski Act will fail. The act was designed for countries where government sanctions, corruption, and human rights abuse are rampant. Smith does not have evidence to that effort. He is going off gossip from the Liberian community. Apparently, he's doing that for political reasons. Let me bring the last one, and then we come back to our panelists here to continue this debate. I thought this guy came with facts. You were there when he was opening stomach. He asking question. Politics really makes strange bedfellows. Somebody is questioning Mr. Gayman as not having facts. Gentlemen, let me come back to you. The debate, you can see the audience too, they are engaged. Gentlemen, let's start with you, Mr. Gayman. I think a lot of people went after you for not providing facts. What do you say?
Who? I think, Mr. Moderator, everybody knows that this is an opposition platform. And we know that, Mr. Tulay came here with no facts but rambling. And no, give me a chance.
And some people say the platform is a government platform too.
Yeah,
I don't know who will believe.
Listen, I gave you facts. I gave you facts. With the Yekeh Kolubah thing, I gave you facts on decorum in the house. I gave you facts. He denied. He said we shouldn't do it because it is written, but it never applied according to him. Okay. He agreed also that Yekeh Kolubah should be suspended because he actually goes beyond what he said he does. We understand all of these things. So what is there to debate? Tulay talked about he worked for George Weah. He said,
I'm not saying the truth.
You said you worked for George Weah and you know he was broke, but yet and still you can't show an iota of evidence that you knew how much he had.
Am I his banker? Am I his banker? Let me hold on.
Then why would you make such a claim?
Hold on. When I tell you that George Weah was broke, I was at the radio station. Listen.
George, were you getting paid when you were working there?
I never received a dime from Kings FM Cloud.
From that rich man. The rich man did not pay you.
Never a dime. I never received a dime.
So were you a volunteer?
3 years. Of course. I was there pro bono. They get money to pay anybody before I collect money from them.
So how do you
I was the one taking money. Hold on, Jerome. I was the one taking money from my pocket to give to the cleaner to go buy water to put in the bathroom. Me.
So how do you operate? How do you operate a station when there is no money?
You're supposed to go ask George Weah.
No, you ask you. You ran the station.
You see, I'm getting
one at a time, gentlemen. One at a time.
Listen, just listen. When Bearded left the station, George Weah and Percy Yekeh took over the account of Royal Communications. They took over the account. Okay, they took over. George Weah became the only signatory to the account. And the Royal Communications were receiving money from Cellcom, we had a contract with Cellcom. You know how it's done in like Monrovia. Cellcom was sponsoring our shows. Apart from that, the children used to go, the young ladies, sorry for calling them children, the young ladies used to go on the street and bring in, how you call it, say, advertising. And as a result, money was coming in. All that money was being paid into the account because the checks were written into the account. George, we had controlled that account. Let me say this to you. When Alex took over the radio station, he went into some arrangement with malaria control, and he got some money and he invested the money into the place to uplift the infrastructure. When Alex left, all the monies
What
were
that has to do
hold
with
on
what
now.
that has to do with the debate here?
Yeah,
You
but
are
you said you want facts. I'm giving
rambling.
you. Listen,
We
you're
have
not
a debate. You
rambling.
talk
I
about
am
your
not
personal
rambling. Can you give me
relationship
chance?
with George Will. That's not what we
I
are.
don't use that word on you.
Gentlemen, I muted you. Management just came here. I'm enjoying myself. There's another show that should have started the past 2 minutes. I apologize, and we have to wrap things up here quickly. So I'm going to unmute you for your closing statement, gentlemen. We're going to bring you back here again. Let me see. Let me unmute both of you first.
All right.
And Mr. Tulay, can we get your commitment for next Sunday same time?
I don't have a problem, but let me just end this statement. Let me end this statement I was making quickly before I go. Okay. When Alex left the station, Chancellor's sister was Wea's representative coming to deal with
Josh, can you keep that because you will not go into details?
No. Just 1 minute. So what I'm trying to say is George Weah controlled the account of the, and he never paid the children. George Weah was using the little money that was coming for himself. I left Liberia in 2014, came to the States. 9 months later, I published the pictures of Royal Communications disgracing George Weah before he called the children and paid them for 6 months. By that time, he already senator. The reason why I'm going there is this. It is a new fact that brother was broke, because I know for a fact that Mobile Molu used to go to Benana Ure and collect money to buy George Weah ticket. I know that for a fact. This is not rambling. And George Weah was so broke that he was collecting lagues. He was benefiting from those around him all over the place. I know that for a fact.
CDC representatives and senators were giving him monthly stipends from their pay. Okay. He was broke. George, please make your concluding statement because of time. We'll come back next Sunday.
When it comes to the government being a kleptocracy, we know for a fact that we may not be able to have, like I said, prima facie evidence now because they control everything. But let me give you one point. George Weah has not 3 years. He has not mandated an audit or government-wide audit.
If you have one more Dicky, you don't get audit. My brother, please conclude because of time.
I'm done. So just to show you how corrupt he is, 3 years he's been in power. He took over from another government that left. He has never ordered a government-wide audit to know about the state of affairs in the government, to know his position. Nothing. So it tells you how corrupt he is.
Mr. Gayman, time. Please conclude.
Yeah, thank you very much for allowing me to come here and do a tutorial and clarify stuff. The era government has their own priorities. And the priority for George Weah has always been something that we call in the United States in government and in running operation called best practice. In 1956, Dwight Eisenhower said to the American folks that we are going to send America.
Can you just quote a Liberian for one?
Excuse me, sir.
That's why I told you don't know the issues because you live in America.
Excuse me. He said we are going to take the American economy at another plateau, but we are introducing the Interstate Highway Act. George Weah, President George Weah, Dr. George Weah in 2018 said, we are going to introduce the interstate highway in Liberia. It's something called best practice. We are going to connect.
Highway. Do you have money?
How can that be best practice?
Excuse me. I thought you wanted me to close. George Weah said we are going to connect all 15 counties, and that will catapult our economy to another sphere. We are connecting our counties. We are connecting our cities. We are building infrastructures. We are building roads. Where out of these come economic development unseen in the country. George Weah is building schools. George Weah have given free education to all the universities in Liberia, public university free. George Weah have paid YF fees. George Weah have debunked everything that you have to
All
talk
right.
about. And we are
Thank
talking
you.
about the Manesky
YFE.
Act that you're talking about. That act was made for a man in Russia that was a political prisoner that was sodomized, tortured, and murdered. Do we have political prisoners in Liberia? No. Are we murdering people in Liberia for their view? No. Are we sanctioning people for their view? No. President Weah has done the best he can. And going to the county tour, you can see for the first time a sitting president of Liberia
Yes,
is going from every city, every county. The president does not have to
you
audit the past
you just
Thank
president.
you
you.
just
Thank you,
you
It
Mr.
is
just
Gayman.
not
establish
his
a
job.
fallacy.
The president has no reason to fear because he's
The
doing the
first
right
time
thing.
president
Chris
going,
Smith is a rambler.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, and I'll see you Sunday. George Weah is on good footing.
Thank you. That was Mr. Gayman, the host of On Point. I'm Anthony C. I have been moderating, and the debate you just watched has been between Mr. George Tulay and Mr. Jerome Gayman. They call him the unabashed sedition. He's unapologetic, but he's an apologist of the regime. And I'm answering here, the host of Focus on Liberia program, The Hour of Politics. If you want to play politics, how about politics? You want to join me? Let's do it. I don't know it, but I'm just learning. The song says we are all Liberians, and that song is taking us home. I guarantee you, these two gentlemen will be here next on the same time, and I will moderate and will have another show for you. We want a Liberia that can work for everybody, but the one that we have today is working for Joshua, Momba Molu, and Nathaniel McGill, and Samuel Twe. These are the guys that are milking the system, and I will never hesitate to say that because it is the fact. Anthony is here saying,
It is
Baba,
your
enjoy
view.
the song.
We are Liberians.